Hey, what's going on, Shrimp Keepers? It is Saturday, which means it's Shrimp Saturday. We haven't done one in a long time, so I figured it was necessary to get one out to you guys. But hopefully, yesterday I did an all fish room update kind of thing, and more or less it's just a fish room tour of my own fish room and all the shrimp tanks. So if you guys haven't seen that, please check that out. I'll put it in the end screen, the little whatever linky thing. So you guys can click on that if you're interested in that. If not, but today I wanted to talk to you guys about water changes, specifically with shrimp. And I feel like this is an area where a lot of people get mixed up. They mess up pretty quickly. And so I figured it would be pretty good to kind of share with you guys a little bit of what I do, so you guys can mimic it or learn from it or whatever else. So I'm going to show you my cherry shrimp tank, which is a 75-gallon tank that I've had for, I want to say it's going on 3 months. November, it was beginning of November, and now it's beginning of January, so that's what, November, December, 2 months. So it's like 2 months. But anyway, I'm going to show you this tank and kind of show you what I do for water changes. And so stay tuned for that, and we'll get right into it. Okay, so we're looking at the 75-gallon cherry shrimp tank. I want to point out a few things in here. One, I have this massive matin filter, which really creates great biological filtration. The shrimp actually graze on it. You can see a group of baby shrimp right here. Well, one baby shrimp. They're actually detritus worms or whatever. But there's baby shrimp all over this filter. You look down here, there's tons and tons of shrimp. This tank has been set up, like I said, for about 2 to 2.5 months, something like that. And there's tons of shrimp in here. And when I started this tank, we started with about 6, 7, 800, somewhere in that vicinity. And as you can see, there's still plenty in here, and we have sold tons from this tank. And so this population is maintaining. I wouldn't say it's growing, but it's definitely maintaining. And the other thing I want to point out is moss. So there's just an absolute ton of moss. Like, here's my hand. This is a 75-gallon tank. Just an absolute ton of moss, extremely healthy. So here is what I want to do the video on. I want to talk about water changes. And this tank I thought was a perfect example, because I have not done a water change on this since I set the tank up. So it's been over 2 months without any water change. The only thing that I do is I top the tank off. So whenever it evaporates, I add either RO water or distilled water to get it back to the original level. And with the moss in here, feeding the proper amount, this tank really is in a great balance. It's pretty much a little ecosystem that just maintains, and it really doesn't require many water changes. And again, I have not done a water change on this tank for over 2 months. So here is my advice. If you want to limit the amount of water changes that you do, add a live plant. Live plants keep the whole system going. And the big thing, so like this is not the average aquarium that you guys are gonna have. At least I don't think you will. You probably won't have the exact situation that I have. So what does an average shrimp tank need as far as water changes go? And it's pretty simple. I always say this is what I do in my breeding room, 20% every month. Sometimes I go longer, sometimes I do it shorter. It just depends, but that would be my average if you averaged out over the year. I do about 20% water changes on my breeding tanks every month. And the reason that I do that, and you have to understand a few things, because fish produce a ton of waste. Shrimp do not produce a ton of waste. Now, if you have thousands of shrimp in a tank, it's going to produce waste. But the majority of the waste that you're going to get is not from the shrimp, it's from the food that you're feeding. So a lot of people overfeed. And so it's always better to underfeed than overfeed, because overfeeding could easily lead to a foul tank, an ammonia spike, a nitrate spike, a nitrate spike, whatever it is. And that could be detrimental to your shrimp colony. So if you really want to be successful with shrimp, take this lesson from me. Do not overdo it on water changes. Now, there are a lot of people out there that say, they do 10 or 20% a week, but I guarantee you those are not the breeders, or if they are the breeders, they really have their water dialed into where it exactly has to be able to do those heavy water changes. And so, for the average hobbyist, for someone like you or me, 20% a month is perfect. And you could even do 10%, 1 week, and do 10% 2 weeks later, and split it up a little bit. That kind of spreads out your chances of making a mistake, because the bigger water change you do, the more things that come into effect. Like, I've killed a tank of shrimp doing a water change because the temperature of the water was like 5 or 6 degrees too cold, and I put it in there and it shocked the shrimp. I did like a 30 or 40% water change, and the next thing you know, all the shrimp are upside down. So that was not good. But I did add some hot water back in, and I think like 25% of the population lived, or something like that. It was not good. It was not good. But that's where I learned that shrimp are very sensitive as far as temperature goes when it comes to drastic swings. So, water changes. Let me just recap, make it real simple. Definitely add RO water or distilled water to account for evaporation. That's a must. You don't have to overdo it on water changes. 10% every 2 weeks, 20% a month. If you miss a week, if you miss a month, the shrimp are going to do fine. The bigger the tank, the better, because the less swings and parameters. And that's really it when it comes to water changes. So it's nothing crazy. Shrimping isn't hard. It's really not hard. But you have to learn, you have to make mistakes. And if I could give you guys advice, it really is that don't overdo it on water changes. It never pays off. It's never helped me. Unless you're extremely, a perfectionist and make sure everything's perfect. Temperature, TDS, all that good stuff. But don't overdo it on water changes. I've killed too many shrimp for it. Please take that piece of advice. Just less is better. Same thing with food. Less is better. So you guys make it an awesome weekend. As I always say, be safe out there. There's some crazy stuff going on in this world, and you guys just try to stay out of harm's way. So you guys make it an absolute awesome weekend, and I'll keep these videos coming. So I'll talk to you guys later.